Welcome to another episode of Food and Cooking 101, and in today's episode we're going to be making a Thai coconut chicken soup that's known as Tom Kha Gai. And in the Thai language, the term Tom means boil, the term Kha means galangal, which refers to an ingredient used in the soup, and the term Gai Lapet means poultry. So you get Tom Kha Gai as chicken galangal soup. And I think this soup is a really good starting point if you want to learn more about Thai cooking, because it uses a lot of the ingredients that are common within the cuisine. So with that, let's make this soup. So the three main flavoring components that are used in Tom Kha Gai soup are one, galangal, and this one's obvious because it's within the name, lemongrass, and kaffir lime leaves. And starting with the galangal, it is a rhizome just like ginger is, but it's not the same as ginger. They have a completely different flavor profile and aroma overall, so you can't substitute one for the other. And if you can't find fresh galangal, there are dried slices that are available online. They're not quite as good as this, but they are still pretty good, so you could use those if you can't get this. And for the lemongrass has a really citrusy aroma and flavor, and it adds a lot of complexity to anything that it's added to. But unfortunately, it is very fibrous, so it's not typically eaten. It's usually cut into large chunks and just kind of tossed in. But I have seen some people, what they'll do is they'll slice it really, really thinly in an attempt to make it edible, but I've never really thought that that's very good, so I just don't eat the stuff. And for the lime leaves, these also add kind of a complex citrusy flavor as well. And in case you were wondering, kaffir lime leaves and makrut lime leaves are the same lime leaves. In different countries, they call them by different names. And all three of these ingredients are commonly available within international grocery stores, especially Asian markets. And the cool thing about these stores is, even in mid-major towns, they're kind of popping up everywhere, so it's cool to see all of these ingredients, kind of become more available. Okay, to prep these ingredients, starting with the galangal, cut the root into thin slices that are somewhere in the neighborhood of 1/8 of an inch thick. And mine are still slightly on the frozen side here, so they're giving me a bit of a hard time, but they'll eventually get there. And for the lemongrass, cut the stalks into 2-inch chunks, and normally you would either smash the pieces down with either the side of your knife or the back of your knife, which breaks down the cell structure and helps draw out flavor, but freezing them does the same thing, as you saw a moment ago with that piece that was wilted and broken down. And these lime leaves also need their cell structure broken down as well, and you could either cut them up, whack them a few times with the back of your knife, or kind of wad them up and crumple them like I'm doing here. And none of these ingredients are typically eaten due to how fibrous they are, but they are usually left in the soup to serve as sort of an internal garnish. So next up we've got chicken, and I prefer to use boneless, skinless chicken thighs here because not only are they far less likely to dry out than breast meat is, they're also quite a bit cheaper than chicken breasts are as well. And I'm going for thin slices here, but you could also cube it up, that's up to you. And it does help to stick the pieces in the freezer for about 30 minutes before cutting them up. They do cut up smoother if you do that. But either way, give the chicken a good sprinkling of kosher salt for seasoning, then jump over to the stovetop, grab your favorite soup pot and set it over medium heat. And to the pot, add 4 cups of chicken stock along with the galangal, lemongrass, lime leaves, and the cut up chicken. And we're also going to add a 1/2 ounce of palm sugar, 2 red Thai chilies, and a few splashes of fish sauce, and I'm going for roughly a tablespoon here. And while that will provide some saltiness, it's not enough, so add a few pinches of actual salt as well. So this soup really is one of those simple soups where you just toss everything in a pot and let it all do its thing. And I'm also going to add the coconut milk as well right now, and I've got 2 cans right here, but it's important to point out that not all coconut milks are created equal, but the ones with a higher fat content are generally considered to be of better quality. But at the same time, I realize that a lot of people out there aren't necessarily trying to add a bunch of extra calories into their diet, so it's important to check the label to see which one you want. And I'm also using a ratio that's equal parts coconut milk and stock, and you can play with that ratio and figure out what you like. Obviously, the more coconut milk you have, the richer it's going to be. The less coconut milk you have, the lighter it's going to be. So just figure out which one you like more. But for now, let's add this in. So with the coconut milk added as well right now, bring the soup up to a gentle simmer while stirring occasionally for roughly 10 minutes. You don't want the soup to get too hot or boil for an extended period of time, because while it is harder to overcook chicken thighs, they will dry out in intense conditions situations like that, so keep an eye on this thing. So I want to go over some of the other ingredients that I've used in this soup as well, because these ingredients are also very commonly used in Thai cooking. And I'll start with the palm sugar here, and palm sugar is made from the sap that's extracted from palmyra trees and sugar palm trees. And the most common form of palm sugar that you're going to come across comes in these little pucks. And the pucks do vary in size, some are larger than others, and you might also see these brick slab looking things on the shelves as well. And I feel it's very important to point out that these pucks are really compacted, and when cutting them up they can very easily slip out from under your knife, so be very careful when cutting into these things. And there are also these jars that are labeled as palm sugar even though they're actually coconut syrup plus regular sugar, but this stuff is still really good. And if you can't get your hands on palm sugar, brown sugar is a good substitute. And next up we've got Thai chilies, and there are many different forms of these chilies. You can get them fresh, frozen, pickled like I have here, and they also come dried. And I prefer using these pickled ones simply because they're more convenient. They'll pretty much keep forever in the refrigerator stored in this pickled brine, and I can just pluck them out as I need them. And one complaint that I have, if you've ever been to an Asian store and shopped for fresh Thai chilies, is that they give you way too many of them. You cannot possibly go through that many Thai chilies before they start to go bad, so you would end up having to put them in the freezer anyway, so I kind of think frozen ones are maybe better than fresh ones in a lot of cases. And finally here we've got fish sauce. And fish sauce is becoming more and more common on regular grocery store shelves. And it's made from anchovy extract and salt. And it obviously has a very strong savory umami flavor that it contributes to dishes. And a little bit of this stuff goes a long way. So when adding this stuff, add a small amount at a time, give it a taste, maybe add a little bit more, but be cautious with it because it can quickly become overpowering. Okay, jumping back into it, the soup has been simmering for a few minutes so we can get the rest of the ingredients ready. And I've got 1/2 of a baseball-sized onion, 1/2 of a tomato, and 8 ounces of shiitake mushrooms here. And typically with Tom Kha Gai soup, the vegetables are cut into fairly sizable pieces, somewhere in the range of 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch in size. So with that, you can score another point in the column for this soup not being a fussy soup to make at all. And with the mushrooms, splitting the larger pieces in half and the larger ones into thirds should do the job. And while I'm using shiitake mushrooms, straw mushrooms or oyster mushrooms would also work well. And for that matter, button mushrooms will also work here. After all, the majority of Thai restaurants here stateside are doing that anyway, and if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, so use whatever you can find. And once you've got your vegetable knife work finished up, head back over to the stove top and drop in the onions and mushrooms, and these are going to take somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes to soften up and infuse their flavor. And at first, you'll notice that the mushrooms aren't wanting to cooperate. They like to float at the top of soups when you first drop them in, but give them a few minutes and they'll sink in with the rest of the ingredients. And after all these ingredients have had a chance to get to know each other a little bit, go ahead and drop in the tomatoes, and you only want to cook these for a minute or two. They'll break down fairly quickly and turn into mush, so you really only want to heat these through, not really cook them so much. And with that, we can get this thing plated up, so grab your favorite soup bowl and make sure to get a good mix of all of the ingredients when loading up your bowl, including the lemongrass, lime leaves, and galangal. While these ingredients aren't necessarily edible components of the soup, I think it's an important part of the rustic presentation of the soup to have them in there. Tom Kha Gai soup isn't supposed to be a fancy soup anyway. It's very much in the category of a humble comfort food. And as a final garnish, top it off with some chopped fresh cilantro, and while it may not be traditional, I like to grate a little lime zest on top as well. I recommend trying this on top of yours. It's really good. But for now, we've reached the end of the video, so as always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.